I mean, the chances of you being in the exact situation you're in a few months is almost zero. Yeah. Your life is not a snapshot. You're not trapped in this moment. It's a film strip. There's very few people who you see a meteoric rise in their wealth or their success.
What are you telling to people right now who are saying, you know what, I didn't follow your advice. I didn't do what I should have done. I still live off of credit cards. I overbought, paid for my house, and I've got this expensive lifestyle and credit cards that I know I'm wrong. I made a mistake. I own it, and now I'm screwed. And I just got 50% cut of my work. I might lose my job in 2 months. I've got all these bills. Like, how do you even respond to something like that?
Yeah. Well, I certainly don't say I told you so. That's not the message, because I've been there. I've done stupid stuff too, and that's not helpful. And it doesn't bring any healing. The thing is this: we all get wake up calls. Mm-hmm. We get wake up calls in our relationships, our spiritual walk, our leadership styles. We get wake up calls in our finances, and some people, the phone's ringing off the hook right now. They're getting wake up calls on a bunch of things. They're at home with their family, and they're starting to realize, I was disconnected from my family. I haven't been plugged in. They got a wake up call on their relationships at home. They've gotten a wake up call on, I don't have any savings, and I'm deeply in debt. This isn't working. And so the cool thing is, when you get the call, then you have to make the choice. Are you going to answer the phone? If you pick the phone up, that means, baby, it's time to change. And you can look back, and you might be 27 years old right now watching this, and you're screwed. You lost your job. You got no money. You got no savings, and you feel like it's all over. And I remember in 1970, I was 10 years old, and I was in my grandpa's backyard. We were tearing down an old deck, and I pulled some nails out of those old boards as we were taking the boards off. And he taught me to put them down and straighten them with a hammer and save those used nails in a coffee can. Now, my grandpa Ramsey was one of my favorite people on the planet. This is 1970, and he was still answering the phone that rang in the Great Depression. It changed his life. He was frugal and careful and wise with money the rest of his life. And so someday, 27-year-old, and you're going to get that opportunity. I was 28 years old when I lost everything. It was my fault. It was the S&L crisis. The banking climate changed. I'd built a house of cards. I was stupid. And the phone rang. And it was my wake-up call. Are you going to answer the phone? Are you going to change your life to where you say, never again? I'm going to control the controllables to where I'm the little pig in the brick house. Never again.
Preach to me, Dave. Come on now. I love this. What's the biggest wake-up call for you that this has had? Maybe it's not the financial side of things or business because you guys are thriving. Is there something, relationship, family, friendships, health? Is there anything that's woken you up now or in the near future and recently?
Well, I've spent the last 15 years pouring into our leadership team and into the Ramsey personalities, creating this succession plan it's not a wake-up call. It's more of a source of pride as to how our leadership team and our Ramsey personalities are reacting in the moment here without me coaching them. They already knew what to do.
They're leading.
They're out there doing it. They're doing it. They're out there.
They're not waiting for Grandpa Dave to say, what do I do? Tell me the steps.
No. They already did it. They already did it, and then I found out about it. And that's awesome. And so it's just a sense of this is starting to work. I mean, when Rachel Cruz and Ken Hogan and these guys are doing, Ken Coleman are doing all these hits, and Chris Hogan, all these guys are doing all these hits, these radio and TV and appearances and all this stuff everywhere, and the networks are calling and asking for them, which is awesome. And so that kind of thing is. I don't know if it's a wake-up call as much as it's very satisfying to say, all that work of the last decade and a half of getting everybody ready to win because we were winning in a winning environment. But then when you get the pressures on and you get squeezed, you see what comes out, and it's good stuff coming out.
What was the last, what year would you say was the last big wake-up call for you around, one of the main areas of your life? Do you remember when that was? Where you're like, oh, I'm eating a little too many candy bars, or my relationship, or what? It sounds like you've had the finances down for many years, but is there another
life
where you're like, oh, you know what? I really didn't do as good as I should have done here.
I guess it's probably leadership, and I probably get one of those calls every day.
Really?
There's some days I'm a world-class leader, and some days I'm just a butt.
In what way? Like, how are you?
So, I mean, sometimes I do a better job than other times as a leader, and I own it. I get it, but you'd think as old as I am, I'd be doing better. So, but I know what I'm supposed to do, but sometimes I just don't have the energy to do it. I don't care.
Yeah.
And I should just care more. I really should. I shouldn't be such a grouch.
Oh no, you care a lot about a lot of people. I'm curious, what's the best dad joke you share?
Oh Lord, I don't have no idea. You got me. I'm not a dad joke guy really, other than just stupid stuff off the cuff that doesn't even make sense generationally. So yeah.
No good dad jokes. What
Yeah.
what is the most common thing that you're hearing with your the people that are calling in for you right now? What's the thing that you hear over and over again that they need the most support with?
I think there's a sense. I think when hope gets gut punched, the way it has for folks right now, um, the answers fall. A lot of them fall in the category of this is not going to last forever, because there's this sense that stock market's down. Do I take my investments out? Well, only if you think it's going to stay down forever.
Right.
Because you're 35. You're going to be investing for 30 more years. You don't think it's going to come up in 30 more years? I mean, really, you're predicting the end of America? I mean, that's silly. But your emotions tell you lies when they're based in fear and when they're based in anger. And they tell you lies, and they tell me lies. We believe those lies in situations like this. So, I lost my job. I know, but that's happened before and probably happen again. Just get you another one. Well, there's a lot of people hiring right now.
There are a lot of people hiring.
Amazon's hiring 100,000 people right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's jobs. It may not be the one you want, but you can get some food.
Yeah.
I mean, get you a leaf blower, and rich people are afraid of leaves. I mean, you can make some money. So there's some stuff to do out there. But I mean, the chances of you being in the exact situation you're in a few months is almost zero. Yeah. Your life is not a snapshot. You're not trapped in this moment. It's a film strip. The story's going to continue to unfold.
Yeah.
And so that when hope takes a gut punch, though, we get down in that fear, or we're mad, or however it is we manifest that stuff, those negative things, the emotions that we all have in these situations, that's where a lot of my questions are coming. They're all built in that. And I'm spending all my time going, yeah, but it's not going to last forever. Yeah, but it's not going to last forever. Yeah, but let's visit this in May. I think you're going to be okay. Some people are going to have devastating, horrible things that are going to be life-changing. But that's a very small percentage compared to the number of that are worried about it.
Yeah.
And so,
you're going to get out of it. You're going to get out of it.
You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay.
I like Preacher Dave, man. This should just be Preacher Show. I like this. What is the worst investment people should be making during this time, and what's the best investment they can make?
In my life, when I have become desperate, right after that's when I become stupid.
Yeah.
And
explain.
The other one is when I get when you get scared. And you go rushing towards something out of fear, that sense of desperation, this thing, when you do that, you're getting ready to screw up. I mean, just count on it. And the other time you do that is if you're greedy. If you think okay, I got this one. I can take advantage of this. And I mean, greedy as a lack of virtue greedy. I don't mean greedy in a positive way where I'm being ambitious, okay? I mean the negative sides of greed. And so if you're functioning in desperation or in this no holds barred, I'm going to just clean up on other people's pain thing, that's when you're getting ready to screw up and you're getting ready to make a major mistake. And so you're set up also for con artists when you do that.
Mm.
And so if you're functioning in high emotion, your brain just doesn't work good. My friend Art Laffer says, well, people, when you're panicked and when you're drunk, you don't make good decisions. And so, you're when you're on high emotion, your brain it's your critical thinking skills shut down. And so that's when I've made the biggest mistakes in my life, is when I was desperate, and the few times that I was greedy, where I thought, oh, I'm going to slip in there and that's going to be easy money.
What was that?
Easy money.
Could you share a story of one of those greedy times where you tried to jump in and
Yeah,
didn't work out?
a buddy of mine, I was in my 20s, and a buddy of mine was buying gold. And now this is in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's a million years ago. And he's buying gold, and he had this friend that was he was a gold bug. He was picking gold, and this guy had picked the gold prices where they were going within a dollar, like 14 times in a row. And so we both dropped $5,000 into this thing, and if we had hit, it was a margin deal, and so I would have made 50 grand. And I thought, I'm putting $5,000 in here, I'm gonna make 50 grand. But it's a margin play, which means you're either gonna make 50 grand or you're gonna make zero.
Mm.
And so he picked it right 14 times. The time I got in, the 15th time, missed it. I got zero. Turned $5,000 into zero instantly. Last time I bought gold, last time I played stuff on margin, last time I got greedy.
Is there ever a time where, so what's the difference between greed and a great opportunity of being ambitious? Can you make money? Can you make money fast in certain things, or is typically most things take a certain amount of time and energy and effort?
The vast majority of people who are successful financially and successful have done it incrementally. There's very few people who you see a meteoric rise in their wealth or their success that keep it. And I think because you build your character along the way to be able to hold on and be able to do it. I think that's my theory on it. I mean, I got rich quick. I started with nothing, and by the time I was 26, I had $4 million worth of real estate. I built a house of cards, and I had $1 million net worth. I made $250,000 in 1984. I was making $20,000 a month, and in my 20s. So I mean, but you'd have thought I had it all figured out. Meteoric rise to the top. But the very thing that caused me to be the incredible overdrive of ambition caused me to go so fast that I missed the blind spots. I missed the detour signs. I missed the bridge out signs. And so I built this house of cards I thought was a stone house, but I was naive and didn't know. And along comes some regulations changes, a few shifts in the economy, a little S&L crisis, and kaboom. It
all comes down. Yeah.
All of a sudden Dave looks like an idiot instead of a genius.
Right.
And so it turns out I was a little of both, because you don't build something like that at 25 if you're not somewhat of a genius. But I was obviously an idiot in the way I built it, and so I get to do it again. Get the wonderful opportunity to start over,
and so, build it the right way. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, in the midst of that, as I was falling, it took 2.5 years to lose everything we own. I had stuff presented to me. I almost got conned. Serious con, like people just a real con artist type guy. There's not many of them out there.
Right.
Most of the time you get screwed by well-meaning ignoramuses. But these were real con artists coming into my path, and I was about to give them money because I so desperately needed to turn quick money into big money to save myself. I was desperate. And right about the time you get desperate is when you get stupid.
So don't make those decisions. So there's not really. So what I'm hearing you say is the wealthy people, it takes time and it's incremental. It's not an overnight thing. It's not a quick rise. There might be some spikes here and there, but it's typically over time.
It's okay to take a spike, but anytime I get a spike, I'm always a little suspicious of it.
Really?
It makes me even more careful. I draw back and I go, well, that's really cool. Is it okay?
A friend of mine, mentor of mine, we've had on this show many times, is Tony Robbins. And he wrote this book, Money Master the Game, 7 Simple Steps to Financial Freedom. And some of these principles are talked about in this episode as well. And he says that the worst exchange in the world is trading time for money. And obviously, if you're trading time for money and you're not maximizing that money, that's one of the worst things. You really want to maximize the money you're making and figure out how to multiply that money in different ways. And I agree. Even when I was doing something I loved, playing professional football, I wasn't making a lot of money. I was doing the thing I loved, but I wasn't optimizing the money I was making. I was trading my time to play professional football. I was trading my time for dollars, And that was great, but I wasn't optimizing it to go to the next level. I wasn't using that money to multiply for me. So you got to find ways to multiply the money that you have. So no matter how much you're making or how little you're making, hourly wages will always have a ceiling on how much you can earn because you can only ever be in one place at one time. So even though I was playing football and I was getting paid for that, it was limited to what I could make. So even if you're the highest paid consultant in your industry, you might be making a lot of money currently, which is great, but if you want to build long-term wealth, then you need to make sure you're generating passive income with that money that you're making, or at least moving towards it, and that's the key. I want you moving toward this. And this is the kind of money that you can multiply while you sleep. And I know many of you might be thinking, but Lewis, I don't even have enough money right now to invest in real estate or buy a franchise or any other investments that might have an asset that we're typically thinking about when you hear the words passive income. And I hear you, I get it. I remember this feeling when I was barely making anything, so I understand. But there are other ways to make your money multiply, even if you aren't in the position to invest in those higher ticket assets like real estate right now. And one is looking into stocks, bonds, IRAs, index funds, mutual funds, and even a 401k. Now, some people might agree with some of these things and others might disagree, but you can really double down into these once you have your savings situated. So the savings first is key. But these don't require a huge amount of money upfront and they compound over time. And one of the things I got into early on was index funds, and Tony talks about that in his book as well. And Tony often tells a story about how Warren Buffett, who's famous for his long-term investments like Coca-Cola, Gillette, See's Candy, and more, when Warren was asked what made him wealthy, first he credited his genes that made him live longer than everyone else. And second, he credited compound interest, meaning because he was patient and let his investments multiply over a long period of time, instead of taking them out when times were tough and the market were down, he was able to generate massive wealth. He was lived a longer period of time and he has been able to compound his interest. So the amount you put into these places can be $100 or $10,000 or whatever you can afford right now. And Ray Dalio, who we've had on and I mentioned earlier, he got his start in the stock market by investing the spare money he earned from caddying on a golf course when he was really young. He used that money and then he invested it in the stock market. So just like savings, the most important thing to remember when trying to make your money multiply is to be consistent. That's the key. And there are a ton of other ways to make passive income as well. And I'll end this section with an example from what I've done here at Greatness Media. So back when we first launched Greatness Media, if we wanted to make more money, it had to involve me in one way or another. I had to be working and making it happen. I had to be the one speaking at an event. I had to be the one reading an ad on the podcast. I had to be the one coaching a client and more. And don't get me wrong, we were doing well, but it was exhausting if it's always you doing the thing. And I was doing this for myself and also paying other people, so it all fell on me. I had to be everywhere and have my hands on everything in the process, and it was intense. Then I shifted our focus as a company to start creating scalable products that could make money without me being 100% involved every moment. And today we have membership programs like Greatness Academy and Greatness Coaching. We're investing more time into YouTube that makes more money on a recurring basis for us. We have dynamic advertising on the podcast, so it doesn't rely on just me each time, and evergreen content that continues to drive sales and leads. And these scalable products allow us to keep growing no matter if I'm asleep, if I'm awake, if I'm traveling, if I'm at the gym, or taking a day off. And it's one of the most important and best decisions we've made as a business so far. And you don't have to create 5 new revenue streams today, but look at your current situation and figure out what the next best revenue stream could be and start there. And I've learned to create new ones over time, but it doesn't all happen at once. So that's lesson number 3. Moving into lesson number 4, I hope you're getting a lot of value out of this. If you're over on YouTube, leave a comment below of what you're learning and how this is supporting you so far. And if you're listening over on the podcast, make sure to share this out with a friend who you think would be inspired by these money multiplying strategies. So lesson number 4, protect your money from losses. Now, this point comes down to reducing the level of risk in your investment. You've heard it a lot when people talk about the stock market in playing the long game versus the short game. Now, if you're an entrepreneur, this can be a tricky one. As entrepreneurs, you've got to be willing to take risks. When it comes to building long-term wealth, we need to approach money differently. And I had the opportunity to speak with a financial advisor and best-selling author, Ramsey a while back on the show, and he's master when it comes to the stock market and investing. And something he said really surprised me. He told me that he only signs in and checks his portfolio about once per month. He does this to avoid making short-term reactive decisions based on where the market's at. The market's up, the market's down, and reacting. And this goes back to avoiding buying something just because it's hot right now and focusing instead on more secure, stable, long-term investments. And since Ramsey's accounts are all automated, he doesn't even have to think about where his money is going. He can sit back and let the long game work in his favor without lifting a finger, without having to check and react and obsess over these things. And this brings us to another important point when it comes to reducing risk, and that is diversifying your portfolio. And I know it can be fun to make daily trades and try to beat the system, and I get it, it can be fun. But the reality is some of the world's largest firms spend hundreds of millions of dollars on market research. So that's who you're up against. It's not a fair fight, I get it. So the best way to increase your chances of investments panning out is to diversify your portfolio instead of putting all your eggs in one basket. Now, this doesn't mean you can't have some fun with Bitcoin and crypto and other less stable investments. You can. Try all this stuff if you want to. But Ramsey and I were even talking about how we tried out angel investing for many years, and neither of us have ever earned our money back from it. It was a lot of fun, and we approached it as a gamble, not an investment or money we'd see in the future. And that's an important distinction to remember here. You don't want to spend money that you can't afford to lose. So even though I have tried a lot of different things with money in terms of investments, some things have worked and continue to work, other things haven't yet, like angel investing hasn't really paid off for me yet. For some people, that's where they generated a lot of their wealth. But that doesn't happen for everyone. So just like Bitcoin or crypto or NFTs have been massive for some people, it also means a lot of people have lost a lot of their money. And you just have to be willing to understand what you're investing in. You have to be willing to do the research. You have to be willing to know what you can and cannot afford to lose when you're investing your money, because there is no guarantee on any investment you make. So just be aware of some of these things and really try to diversify your portfolio. Lesson number 5, own your own home. Now this is kind of an analogy we want to bring here. We've all heard the importance of owning your home or your condo or your apartment that you live in. It's a stable asset that usually increases in value over time. So it's a good idea to eventually own it. Dave Ramsey talks a lot about this, but the principle doesn't necessarily mean it has to apply to real estate. It can also apply to business investments as well. And there are some people that say, you shouldn't own your home right away. You should take that big chunk of money and invest it in yourself first. And once you really have another level of savings and income, then you can own your home. So really just you want to understand where you're at when it comes to real estate, owning your home. But the analogy is you want to own your home by investing in yourself. So whatever industry or career you're in, you should aim for some type of ownership. And this is your own skill set. This is a part of a company. This is building your own company on the side. And this goes back to the passive income point and making your money multiply. And if you're in a position at work to get a stake or some shares or some equity at the company at some point, then great. It could be an effective way to do this. Or if you wanted to build something on your own on the side, that's a way to do this as well. And if you own a business, this can mean investing money back into the company to help it grow faster and further. Even if you aren't in one of those positions right now, we all have the opportunity to become partial owners of a company through the stock market. This is where a lot of people build their wealth. You may not be able to buy into the company you work at. You may not start your own company, but you can invest some of your money into the stock market. And David Bach says there are only 2 escalators to building long-term wealth: real estate and the stock market. So if you haven't already, start to empower yourself by getting involved in either one of those. And it doesn't have to be much. And you can start with as little money here and then build up to your portfolio and increase your investments over time. And this will allow you to accumulate wealth over the long term. That's what this is about. For me, some of my best investments have been putting money directly back into this business, into my own home. My home is this business for the sake of this example. And whether that's hiring new team members to join Greatness Media, whether that's, buying software to save us time and money, hiring consultants to improve our processes and workflows, the list goes on and on. These investments have paid dividends for me and our business. And you won't always see the return on the investment right away, just like the stock market or real estate. But over time, the value and impact is massive. And I'll give you an example. We invest in so many different things. For example, on YouTube, we hired a team, we brought in people to film, people to edit. We bought the equipment to film all of our videos for 5 years before we started making any money on YouTube. So we had all this content, and we finally turned on advertising after 5 years of publishing content 2-3 times a week. And the returns finally came in 5 years later. So it doesn't always happen overnight. Again, just like the stock market and real estate, but investing back in yourself is always a good thing. So I challenge you to look at your own life and ask yourself where you can adopt the mentality of ownership, of being an owner, and where can you gain equity in a company or become a partial owner of an asset versus always trading just time for money. Start there, and also start thinking of investing and owning pieces in different ways, the stock market or shares in real estate and things like that. Lesson number 6, ensure a future income. So we've already talked about making passive income and the importance of setting aside money for long-term investments to have recurring revenue flowing in. So I'll hold off on repeating myself there. But in addition to that, there are a couple other ways to ensure a future income that I want to talk about. The first is investing in yourself. This is massive. The best way to ensure you have a future income is to make yourself recession-proof by continuing to learn new skills and building a strong personal brand. We talk about this in Greatness Academy, which I'll share with you more in just a moment. And there are a lot of ways to do this, and it doesn't mean you have to try to get 1 million followers on our Instagram or become famous on TikTok. It could be as simple as creating a website to showcase your designs if you're a graphic designer, and networking with other designers in your local area at meetups or conferences and events. And if you're a business coach, it could mean posting videos on YouTube, showcasing your expertise. And I know a lot of you will hear that and you'll think, well, Lewis, I've done that, but I haven't gotten a lot of views or shares or comments. And I understand. I won't lie to you and say numbers don't matter at all, but they're not the most important part. Even if you don't get views or shares or likes, publishing content that's aligned with your personal brand shows you're passionate about it, and it could set you up for future success. It shows you care about the work you do, and it allows others to be able to see that as well. Nobody paid attention to the content I put out for a long time, but consistently showing up for over a decade has led to me living my dreams and being on the path to accomplishing all my goals, and really setting me up for financial freedom. The days of old-fashioned resumes are over. Nowadays, everything we publish online is a resume. So that YouTube channel we started is a part of your resume. Our LinkedIn profile is a resume. Our website, our Instagram, TikTok, all these things, they're part of our resume. So be productive and proactive and start building your personal brand based on it. Don't rob the world of your talents. That's what would be selfish. Be proud of the work you do and showcase the gifts you were given. And it might seem like doing that won't help you much in the short term, and maybe it won't. But believe me, in the long run, it's one of the best things you can do for yourself to really ensure your future income is guaranteed and recession-proof yourself by building your personal brand. And another way to ensure a future income is launching a side hustle. And as of right now, 1 in 3 people in the United States have a side business, and another 25% are planning to start one in the next year. So you'd be in good company if you decided to launch one if you haven't already. Using your nights and weekends to build up another source of revenue for you can help provide a financial cushion if you lose your job or if the economy goes through another recession like the pandemic. And it can also provide you with more money to put into your savings, your stocks, your bonds, real estate, or wherever you're investing right now. Lesson number 7, increase your ability to earn. Now we've made it to the final lesson, and it's an important one, so make sure you pay attention. If you continue to increase your ability to earn as your career goes on, you'll be able to have more money in the bank and more money to put into your investments. So how do you start making more money doing the same things you're already doing now? Well, if you have a business or a side hustle that you're currently running, I always tell people that there are a handful of ways to do this. Number one, you can increase your rates or prices right now. If you're a consultant who has 10 clients, then increasing your price can allow you to earn more while potentially working less. And this gets easier as you gain more experience and recognition in the industry you work in. A strong personal brand also helps a lot with this and makes it easier to charge more when people know who you are. And number two, you can increase the number of leads or prospects your business has. So the more leads you have, the more potential for sales you'll have as well. And there are a million ways to go about getting more leads, but it all starts with marketing and advertising. Begin thinking about which social media platforms you can start running ads on to target your specific audience. What sort of content can you create and package into a webinar, an ebook, or an online course? Begin there. Number three, you can improve your business's processes and workflows. And this is done through automating and optimizing the more repetitive processes first and continuing on from there. Luckily, there are so many incredible tools on the market today to help streamline virtually any process you have. It just comes down to research and investing in the right ones for your specific situation. And remember that time is money that you can never get back if you spend it poorly. Number four, you can increase the number of products you sell. So more products, of course, leads to potential more sales for your business. As long as those new products solve a real pain point for your customers, this can be a great way to increase your income. And number five, lastly, you can improve the quality of people on your team. Now, having an experienced, dedicated team is one of the best investments you could ever make for your business. It'll buy you back your time. It'll allow you to focus on what you're good at instead of stretching yourself too thin, trying to do everything at once, and help pave the way for exponential growth. Another huge opportunity to increase your ability to earn more money is to never stop learning. This is one I take to heart, and it's a key to my success. Year after year, I invest in coaches to help me improve in the areas of my life that I find most important. And at any given point, I'll have a coach for working out. I've got a Spanish coach to learn Spanish. I've got a therapist, business mentors, financial advisors, and many other coaches. I'm always looking to invest in that support. And I take learning seriously because if I'm not always learning and improving my skill sets, then I feel like I'm regressing. And that's why you'll see me on every episode of the School of Greatness with a pen and a notebook ready to take notes as the people we have on share their advice, their strategies, and their life lessons. And if you're looking to take your learning to the next level, we actually just launched a membership community of growth-minded entrepreneurs called Greatness Academy. And members receive access to over 100 hours of trainings with me and some of the world's leading experts in their fields of online marketing and sales and growth. And every month we bring you a new training and a live Q&A session with Team Greatness. You'll also gain access to a supportive community of other conscious achievers just like yourself looking to improve in other areas of their lives. And we're already seeing incredible things happen to those who have joined, and I'd love for you to experience the same life-changing results. So if this sounds like something you'd be interested in, then I highly encourage you to check it out, and you can go to lewishowes.com/academy to learn more. I'll also have it linked in the description below. And there you have it. We got through all 7 secrets to building long-term wealth for you, your family, and your loved ones. So I hope you enjoyed it. Again, these principles came from this book, The Richest Man in Babylon. So be sure to give it a read if you found this episode valuable. Again, we took some of these concepts and we kind of reshaped them, reframed them for the modern time. We also had this book that I talked about, Money Master the Game, from Tony Robbins. So make sure you check this out. This is incredible. A lot of stuff I learned here about investing in index funds. Really cool strategies here about index funds that I started investing in about 5 years ago that I've seen incredible results year after year. So something there as well. I also highly recommend, if you're just getting started, checking out The Millionaire Morning. This is a book we wrote a few years ago that so many people love. Keep getting this book every day. We get sales here, and people love this. This is about the mindset of millionaires in the morning, what they do with their morning routine to really help them set themselves up for success. The mindset, the habits, the rituals, and routines in the mornings. This is what the wealthy people do in their morning. Check this out. You can go to millionairemorning.com. This is a quick read with some exercises and examples as well. And I'll leave you with this final thought. I want you to always remember that the world makes room for passionate people. And this is something I believe so deeply and have seen happen time and time again. So whatever it is that you do, whatever it is you're most passionate about, whatever lights you up and excites you, bringing joy to that work will pay off for you big time in the long run.
A bad investment is still better than a smart spend. So wealthy people don't spend money, they invest money. Number two, they also know that money is not required. I think a lot of us, if we grew up poor, we believe it takes money to make money. Our parents told us that. Maybe a grandparent or the neighbor or somebody said that to us because that was how they justified not having their breakthrough and getting trapped. They're like, the reason I didn't get out. And we know everybody's got an excuse in their lifetime. Everybody uses them at some point in their lifetime to trap themselves. This idea that it takes money to make money is not true. It's a myth. It's the number one reason why I did the show, the Discovery Show, to debunk that on TV, that I didn't need any money at all. They offered me $100. I'm like, just keep it, dude. Like, no, we got to give it to you. It's part of the show. And I'm like, I don't need the 100. They're like, no, but you got to take the 100. It's part of the show. So the third thing I would say about wealthy people is different people have different ways they invest, but they tend to be more focused on the long-term appreciation of an asset rather than give me money this second. And I think they're not stuck in this get-rich-quick thing.
It's a delayed gratification.
Yeah, they're more like, I'd rather have wealth tomorrow than rich today. And they do have a distinction between the rich and the wealthy. The super wealthy are looking to create wealth beyond their own means and needs. Like, they're not thinking about their kids, their boat, their plane. I know people think that, but that's not actually true. They're actually thinking about, how do I create wealth for a lot of people? Amazon's got 1 million employees. Yeah. Now, most of them only earn minimum wage, but there's some people at the upper level of Amazon that are making fortunes.
Yeah, and I'm curious, you wanted to debunk this myth of that it takes money to make money, which is something I heard a lot growing up, and a lot of people think, well, unless I can't make it because I can't invest it until I have it. So what were the lessons you learned, starting from essentially zero, having no money, no contacts, no relationships, no opportunities in a town that you went to for this show? What did you realize were the keys to actually making money, even if you didn't have any?
Well, as you see the show, you see that I actually never make any money, right? So the two girls, they actually they follow 3 of us, and the 2 girls went out and got a job in the first week. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong, or my way's more better or worse, but they are strategies. Okay, they're different strategies. I was not there to get a job or to earn money. I was there looking for one thing: opportunity. I never spent time looking for money ever, the entire 90 days. Okay, I'm not looking for money. I was actually looking for contracts through the contacts. I wasn't looking for money because I knew the evaluation of the company in the last segment. An evaluator will come in and determine what my company's worth, my new company, right, that I created. And at that point, I just need to validate to him, dude, my company's worth this based on that. The entire 90 days, I never touched the first 100 they gave me. And this was to prove to people, dude, you do not need money. Like, it's not true you need money. You do need contacts.
You need people. You need relationships.
You need people. You need the right people, though. The right people that are already in play. Okay? Just because a guy's got money. I remember a billionaire friend of mine, he could buy a jet. And I said, hey, Bob, should I buy a jet? He said, you should, I shouldn't. Meaning, Grant should, and he's way wealthier than I am. He could have bought 40 of them. He's like, I don't have a place to go in mine. You could use yours every day. So you got to find somebody that's in place, somebody that not just has money, but somebody that wants to do more with their money. So you'll notice in the first 10 days, I don't spend any money. I don't spend money on shelter, not on food, and not on water. Nothing. Then what I do is I end up accumulating assets. And it's unfortunate that the viewer doesn't see this. Within 5 days, I have 2 vehicles. One was given to me by Discovery, and the other one was a $40,000 Jeep that I basically used from Ryan, this guy I met, and told him, I'm going to sell your Jeep. I'm going to drive it around town and put 10 miles a day on it, and I'm going to sell it. Well, that's a $43,000 asset. My truck was worth $4,000. I still had my $100. I lived in a $46,000 RV that I was trying to sell. So, what's the other thing I did? And I picked up $10,000 to do in a 15% partnership in the equity of the upside of this guy's company. So literally in 10 days, I was accumulating contacts that could get me equity. And the important part of that story is, man, go get you some equity. You know, Jay-Z talks about this. You're getting, so many of you young brothers are getting an advance while I'm picking up the equity.
Ooh, yeah, they're trying to get the get rich quick. Let me give you the money now.
Give it to me now.
Where the publisher's getting the long-term residual income for decades off of your
Kevin Hart. Look
work.
at what Kevin Hart did with this show, right? He owns that show. He owns the ticket sales. He was willing to promote it, not just be a comedian, where Richard Pryor showed up and got his check, told his jokes. Kevin Hart says, yeah, I'm going to show up. I'm going to tell my jokes, but I'm going to own the entire platform, the equity.
So how do you get someone to give you $10,000 when you have nothing to give them in return? Or what is it that you're selling them, a greater promise in return?
So what I did was I pitched this guy. I said, look, he's a business owner. He wants traffic in his company. Every business owner wants traffic. Every entrepreneur wants traffic to their website. And I said, look, I'm going to drive traffic to your store. He owned a mattress store, big margins. And I said, I'm going to make sure you have the biggest weekend that you've ever been here. And I said, if you give me $6,000, I'll take the $6,000 to the store. In fact, you don't give me the money, just call it in and approve it. I didn't want to touch his money. I never asked anybody for any money. And I said, I'm going to go run a promotion for you. I'm going to put together the banners, the logos. I'm going to stand out in the street. I'm going to drive the traffic to your place. What do you want, Lewis? What do you want, Lewis? I did that more than once, by the way. What do you want, Lewis? And
you did?
Because my name was Lewis, right?
Yeah.
And I said, dude, I don't want anything. He tried to give me money to do this. I don't want your money. I just want the opportunity. I want to prove myself. Because what I really wanted from him was I wanted him to front the bill at the print shop so that he could put me in play. Well, I went and ran the whole promotion that weekend. I said, if you send them, if you just authorize the spend, I'll conduct the promo. I'll run it and do it. We did $91,000 worth of mattress sales. We did $15,000 that weekend and then another $65,000 over the next 3 weeks. And he's like, dude, you're a star. Now he's like, hey, what do you want for what you did for me this weekend? That was the best weekend we've ever had. And I'm like, I don't want anything except to be your partner.
So you wanted equity?
I want to be your partner, dude. And I said, I want 15% of the upside of your company. I said, what's fair? He's like, 15%. Everything above what I'm doing now, I'll give you 15%. He's the one that made the offer. I said, that's awesome.
Wow.
And then that's when I said, hey, can you give me an advance of $10,000 on the 15%? People think that I asked for $10,000. I actually didn't get $10,000. I got an advance on a partnership, which is even better.
Wow, that's fascinating. So you never asked for money. You said, give me equity with everything.
Give me equity. And then once I got the equity agreement on the upside, most people are willing to give you this.
Because it's more than they've already made. They're already making a certain amount. They never crossed past that probably in years. So they're like, okay, if you can help me 10x it, I'll give you 15%.
I don't want a piece of what you're already doing. That's not fair. That's an unfair deal. I mean, people are like, I need to ask for more. Yeah, but you don't want to ask and look stupid. Like you can't ask somebody to give you something of a company they already have. Also, it's interesting because they didn't show this, and I look forward to kind of breaking this thing down. I'm going to create a whole platform where I go in and break the show up and show people what they didn't see. When I left Vegas to fly to Pueblo, the production company said, hey, what's your first move? First move, I'm going to the bank to drop off the 100. Second thing, I'm going to the gym to meet people. Third thing is I'm going to find a business for sale, and I'm going to see if the guy that owns the company can give me a place to sleep. Those three things happened exactly the way I predicted before I got to Pueblo, before I even knew I was going to Pueblo. I mean, it happened just every one of them. And then Discovery came to me at 4 days and said, bro, you got to slow down. I said, what do you mean? We don't have a TV show if you keep winning.
Right. If you make it happen in 2 weeks, what are we going to do?
I'm like, okay, come out here and watch me throw up. Okay, come out here and watch. I'm sick. I was sick from altitude sickness. I'm like, what you guys got to cover how hard this is for me. I'm terrified. I'm cold. My back hurts. I don't have a good place to sleep. I'm pissing in a bottle. And then they cut all that out of the show. So the point of that story is quit going for some dead Benjamins and start getting you some equity. Okay, $100 bills are dead. They're from the past. Equity is the future. And you're better off with a future if you believe in yourself than you are with a dead Benjamin.
What are some things people should be looking for in terms of the right people or the right products or companies to say, okay, and how to position and package themselves to make a partnership equity deal? What should they be looking for, and how can they position and package the way you did?
Yeah, so like in Pueblo, there's 112,000 people that live there. The average household income there is $24,000 a year. Household income. Like it's one of the most economically beat up cities in America. They were at 8% unemployment when the country was at 3%. When COVID hit, it went to 22%.
Wow.
Like just ridiculous, right? So now when I'm in a problem environment like that, you have to do the math. So I'm like, okay, there's 112,000 people there. I can't meet them all, and I don't want to meet them all. I only have 90 days. So then I said, okay, who's got the money in this town? The businesses have the money in the town. This is the unfair advantage I have in this show, is that I did not go there to start a new business. I went there to find a business that was already banking. A lot of people think
Did you have that intention before?
100%. I said, there's no way I'm going to start a new business. There's 34 million businesses in America. America does not need a new business.
And it's so hard to launch and create momentum, especially if you don't, even with your audience, it's hard to launch a new business.
It is so ridiculous. It is so stupid what people are doing today. I'm going to start a new beauty salon. I'm going to start a new masseuse place. I'm going to start a new cosmetologist house. I'm going to start you got a new idea. Nobody needs it. Like, if you were an alien looking down at the United States of America and saying, okay, what is there too much of? Restaurants, bars, and businesses. There's too many of them. And then some kid pops up, Paul pops up and says, I'm going to start a new business. And the guy from outside the planet's looking down there saying, well, that's stupid. Why don't you just go 2/3 of all the businesses in America break even or lose money?
So what I'm hearing you say, Grant, is a lot of people have the dream of wanting to start and launch a business. But what I'm hearing you say is it's probably a lot smarter to go find a failing business or a business that's breaking even, jump in, add value, and see if you can 10x that.
Dude, that's how you get on planes. That's how you go to the hospital. You need emergency care. You don't build a hospital. You just go to the hospital. You want food, you go to Whole Foods. You want gas, you go to the gas station. It's no different in business. It's called a going concern for a reason. Find a going concern that's got a brand, go in. That's what I did. I just went in and added value. Once I added value, actually, we end up splitting off another business out of that. So out of that relationship, your first question was, hey, who are you looking for? I'm looking for contacts that can actually become contracts. I'm looking for specific relationships. They have to have money. They have to have credibility. They have to have credit lines. That's the only people I was looking for in Pueblo. Out of 112,000 people, are there 50 of them? I need to meet 50 people that have money, credit, and credibility.
How did you feel? Because I saw in the first episode that you got rejected a few times. How did you feel from someone who is getting yeses a lot and building their business so fast to go into a place where people just say, nah, I don't believe in you, or you don't seem credible? Or how did you take it security-wise internally?
Well, pieces you don't hear is I was in this meeting and this guy starts flexing on me. And he literally, like, I had to sit there and listen to his, well, I raised $30 million and I bought all this and I put this together and I'm the king and la, la, la. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, dude, I'd like to just drop, you want to see a flex right now? You know, the same day I had written a check for like $45 million and I'm having to bite my tongue. Like, he doesn't know I could be his investor. By the way, there was a great lesson in that. Like, I was nobody. Shaved head, old truck, no name, no social media following. And this guy treated me just like that. Like I'm a nobody.
And you never know who you're talking to or who they're friends with or who their family is that could support you potentially.
Totally. Like the same day this guy's flexing on me about how he raised 30 million and he's the king of Pueblo and blah, blah, blah. I mean, like what I had in my checking account that day as Grant Cardone, I just wanted to pop it out on him. Be like, shut up, dog. What, treat everybody like you never know who you're dealing with. You know, and just because they're having a bad day, one, you don't know who you're dealing with, and number two, more importantly, you don't know who they're going to become.
Yeah, they may not have money yet, but in 10 years, they might have a brand or audience or something that could support you.
Every accredited investor was a non-accredited investor at one time. Every whale was a minnow.
I mean, you've been doing sales for, 4 decades now?
Yeah.
You've been selling from cars to real estate to everything in between, 11 best-selling books. You've been a selling machine. How did it feel to go in without being able to use any of that and go back to kind of the basics of like, okay, I'm a brand new car salesman just trying to figure out how to do this thing. How did you have the confidence or the courage to go in blind and try to build these relationships?
Because I had the commitment. I was committed to the outcome. I always say, man, commitment comes with time and money.
The thing that you do extremely well is you're a master enroller, Grant. And I believe that we're either enrolling people in our vision or we're unenrolling them in our vision every moment, every day with our content, our posts, our interactions. And we could be unenrolling people in our brand from one conversation or one thing that we do to piss someone off. Where did you learn the skill of enrollment, of getting people to buy into you and your vision?
I think what I do is, and I talk about this in Sell or Be Sold. I've been a sales guy for a long time, and I just learned early on, and I was terrible at sales. 17 years old, 18, 19, part-time sales guy, I was awful. When I finally realized that sales was the only job I could get at 25 years old, I'm just like, dude, I just got to tell people the truth because I can't do all these tricks. The NLP, right. And look, if it works for you, good, whatever, but the mirroring, the matching, they ask a question, you ask a question, the hot potato. I've heard all these strategies. And I'm like, dude, I just can't do it. I'm just going to be me. Hey, guys, I'm moving from LA. I'm out of work. I'm looking for opportunity. I'm trying to move my family here. My name's Lewis Curtis. 2008 beat me up. I got to get my family out of LA. Real estate's impossible. I can't buy it there. It's priced out of the market. And I'm here in Pueblo because I think there's opportunity here. And that's all I'm looking for. No handouts, no help. I got an old truck with me. I got no money. I left my kids with. You got to have your story. So people enroll, but you also have to be talking to the right audience. I only spent time with people that were able, capable, qualified. I spent no time. I was in a meeting once in Pueblo. I walked into the meeting, assessed the situation, and bounced. I said, guys, I'm done. I'm out of here. Boom, and I walked out. And my partner at that time, you'll see it later in the later shows, he's like, what just happened? I'm like, there's nothing here, bro.
There's no money here.
There's no opportunity here. And I'm on a clock. I couldn't tell him I'm on a clock. I couldn't tell anybody. So I had these little secrets going on. So, how do you enroll people? It's like, you got to get enrolled. My personal integrity and ethics is why I can sell so hard. And because I believe in my product, I believe in my investment vehicle, I believe in my company. I don't trick people, screw people. Like 35 years I've been in business, there's not one person in 35 years that says I owe them money.
3 things that poor people do that the rich people don't do that you notice.
I think, first of all, poor people have a negative association with money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll give you a perfect example from just last week. This just happened to me, literally, like in real life. I was driving, my wife driving the Bentley, right, to downtown, passed through a not so good neighborhood, kind of like, it's called Hastings in Vancouver, kind of like the hood, okay? Because we're going to Chinatown. We stopped at the red light. There's one guy that came to my car, spit on my car.
No way.
On the Bentley. Yep, on the window, right? And then gave me the finger.
Wow.
And then walk away. So
you didn't say anything. You didn't do anything. You didn't.
It was just that. It's just a car, right? So you would see a lot of people. They think, they say, I want more money. Hey, Louis, I want to have more success. I want more wealth. But deep down, actually, they have a negative association with money. Because I always do this exercise with my students. So imagine this. Imagine you're walking down the street. You hear this loud engine sound, right? And then you see a black Lamborghini just drives by, right? What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Now, most people would say, oh, he's an asshole. Like, what a if it's a woman, oh, she's a gold digger. Or if it's this young person, oh, this probably from, the daddy's money. Like all this stuff, like they can go through this very, very quickly. All the negative stuff, right? And then a small percentage would be, oh, that might be an entrepreneur, right? That may be actually a father of 3, right? That he's a hard-working entrepreneur. He's been working hard, and this is a little treat that he gives for himself, and he only drives it, maybe on the weekends. That never comes to mind. It's all the negative that comes to mind, right? So I would say that negative association with money, consciously or subconsciously, they don't even know it.
Yeah, when you resent someone with money, or you resent money, why would money come to you?
Or people with money.
Right. Why would you be surrounded by people who have money, or why would you attract more wealth into your life if you're resenting it, right?
Yeah, no. So it's like so that's the first thing is poor people have negative association with money. The second one is they don't talk about money.
Gosh, I say this all the time, man. Tell me more.
Yeah, they avoid conversations. Like it's like a taboo subject. Oh, why you talk about money all the time? Like, oh, we don't talk about. It's like we don't talk about that at dinner table. You don't have conversation with your kids about money. You don't have conversation with your spouse about money. It's a bad thing, right? It's like this. And think of money. The best way to describe this is think of money as a person in your life. Treat money as a person. So imagine if you think about.
We don't talk about that person.
We don't talk about you. And in fact, I think you're the root of all evil.
Ooh.
I think you are greedy. I think you're not that important to me. What, do you think this person would stay around? I don't think so. Like they would be like, I don't want to be around. But money is not that important. Money doesn't grow on trees. Oh, there are other more important things than money. Like all this stuff, right? Then money is not going to stick around. So if you think of it that way, but on the other hand, if you talk about money, you cherish money, not to be a slave of money. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, hey, I value you. I value money. Right? I save you. I invest you intelligently, right? Like if you think of it that way, then money's like, okay, you treat me good, I'm going to stay around.
Yeah. Right.
You think of like that as almost like a lover. I love you, right? Oh yeah, that's good. I'm gonna love you back. Yeah. Oh, I don't like you. And I'm not gonna like you back. So that would be the second one.
Okay, and the third?
Yes. The third one it has to do with value. So poor people want money without delivering more value. Versus you and I, we understand the marketplace cares about one thing, it cares about value. It doesn't care about our solving stories. It doesn't care about our victim mentality. It doesn't care about how hard we work. It doesn't even care how much experience we have or how many years we're in business. The marketplace doesn't care. The marketplace has no emotion. The marketplace only cares about value, and what determines our value is our skill sets. So think about this, where if someone is very motivated, they think positively, they got no skill sets to offer to the marketplace, they're not going to make money. On the other hand, you've got someone with let's say someone comes to you, Louis, it's like okay attitude, but he's saying that, hey, Louis, I can help you with a Facebook ad. You can spend $1, I can give you $5 back. If he has a skill set like that, you'll be like, okay, I'm going to give you some money to help me with my ads, right? So it's the skill set I think a lot of people are missing. They don't understand that it's the mindset, which is what you teach, combined with your skill set, then you've got something that works. So I would say those are the main key.
Those are powerful. I'm curious about, I want to follow up on this. Skill set. There's a lot of people who have all the degrees and credibility in the world, but don't have the self-belief.
Yes.
So what is more important? Skill set, actually being skilled at something, the ability to believe in yourself with the skill set and coupling the two, or the ability to package your skills to transfer for money in exchange, because a lot of people can't position or package and then sell. They might have the skill set, they might have the belief and confidence, but they don't know how to package it to transfer money. Which one of those threes,
That's a good
three
question.
are more important?
I would say I used to believe it's the mindset, but now I would say I'm leaning more towards the skill set, and I'll explain why. Because let's say you're a digital marketer. I'm going to use as an example. You're a digital marketer. You don't really believe in yourself, but let's say you know how to close, you know how to communicate your value, and you're good at what you do. Well, and someone comes to you and say, hey, Louis, you're so good at digital marketing. Let me give you $5,000 a month retainer to do my social. Well, that changes your belief system very quickly, right? So I almost like to use that as an environment. It's like I teach all my students. If you have not made $1 closing, or you're not made $1 copywriting, whatever that you do, you make the first $1. You make the first $1.
That's the best feeling, that first $1, man.
That first $1, man. It's like podcast. Oh, you've never made $1, any money from podcast, just make the first $1. That's the difference. What's the difference between professional and amateur? Professional gets paid. Make your first $1. Now it changes. Okay, maybe I could do this. Maybe I'm pretty good. Maybe I could get better. Maybe I can do this full time. Maybe I can make a career out of this. It's easier to use the environment to shift our beliefs than try to change it just within ourselves. That's what I believe it. Like, our environment is infinitely more powerful than our willpower. Way more powerful.
Our environment in what way?
If you want to get fit, hang around with people who are fit. You will eat better. You will want to exercise. If you don't smoke, you hang around with all your friends are smokers, guarantee you will smoke. You don't do drugs, you hang around with people who do drugs, you do drugs. We can't help but influenced by the environment. So I say, why not put ourselves in an environment that is supportive of our goals? I'm very, very careful with that. Very careful. Yeah, and I say the same thing.
This idea of entrepreneurship has been a sexy, word and idea, and especially in the last 5 years with social media and everyone kind of flashing this lifestyle. Gary Vee, talking about it a lot and everything. But as you know, it's hard for a lot of entrepreneurs to make a lot of money and sustain it. It's hard to get there, but then it's hard to sustain it for a while. When a pandemic hits or something else, people aren't prepared for that. Do you think it's possible for people who have great skills, who are part of a great team, of a great company, that never want to start their own thing and be an entrepreneur, but are valued, are part of a team, are growing with the company, making an impact in this company and the mission that they have? Do you think it's possible for people that aren't entrepreneurs to become wealthy? And if so, what are the strategies they need to be applying right now in order to start having their money work for them as opposed to only working for money?
I love that question. I've never been asked that question, and I have a very good answer. One thing I learned from my mentor, he said, Dan, you don't get rich on income, you get rich on equity. You don't get rich on income. So if for someone with the skill sets, think about a ship, right? There's only one captain. We're going from here to there. So you look at Jack Ma, who started Alibaba. Yeah, Jack Ma is very successful. Well, but the initial founders, they didn't do too bad either, right? So you have the people who maybe you are the founding members, the founding team with a startup that is going places with the right visionary, with the right founder and CEO, which, by the way, that's also, I think, only certain people fit that profile. That's what I believe in. Okay, that's what I believe in. And I learned that through Culture Index, which is like a survey that people take to see what personality that fits. So only certain people are fit for their CEO profiles. But everybody else, they can still contribute. And if they have equity, they participate, they can still do very well financially. In fact, it's like if naturally they know they're not the CEO personalities and materials, If they just try to be that, it doesn't work anyway. It just doesn't work. But it doesn't mean they're not valued. Yeah. I mean, to me, I play a role in my company because I have a certain skill set, right? But I cannot do what I do better than what, like my team, they have certain skill sets that are way better than me. Like just this morning, we had a technical challenge. It's like my team could fix that. I don't know how to handle that. Like I just
we're trying to set up Zoom before this. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm like I have no idea. I no joke aside, I actually don't know how to turn on the camera.
There you go.
I literally do not how to turn. I don't know where the button is.
You know how to do the iPhone though, so that's easy.
That's easy. I can handle that, but like the XD stuff, I cannot handle. So what I'm saying is, you look at that if they participate in a vehicle in a good market that's growing, trending, and if they can be part of that founding members, they can get equity early on. They could do very well.
And what if they can't get equity or they're not early on and they join a team after 100 employees and it's...
They're not as good. So it gets the timing of it, right? The timing of it is you want it to be too early, higher risk, too late, then you don't get as much upside. And also depends on your skill set, right? What's the skill set you bring to the table? But they could do very well. It's called entrepreneurship, right?
Mm-hmm. Entrepreneurship, yeah. And what are some things that people could do if they say, oh, that's not me, but I'm making a good salary and I'm going to be making more money? What could I be doing with my money so that it earns me more? What would you suggest?
Every one of us needs to be an investor. Doesn't matter how we make the money. I teach a concept called the wealth triangle, right? Which is kind of got 3 parts. The first part is what I call high income skills. And I define high income skills as skills that could make you more than $10,000 a month. Okay? $10,000 a month. Because I noticed something about human beings. Whenever we get past that 6-figure mark annually, something shifts. That I rarely see someone go past 6-figure and go back to $50,000 a year. It becomes a new comfort. It's a very
once you know how to get there, you could stay there.
It becomes it's a fascinating thing to see. So I think that $10,000 a month, $120,000 a year, high income skills, and then the second part is what I call a scalable business. A scalable business, not just any business, but a business that is scalable, such as a software business, an influencer business, or e-com business, a scalable business. And then you have what I call high return investments. And I define high return investments as investments that would give you a 10% return year in and year out, 10% return or more. So you look at this wealth triangle. Now, here's the thing. If you have high income skills, you're already earning income. Your scalable business gives you profits, and your high return investment builds your net worth, right? Wealthy people talk about net worth. They don't talk about income, right? They talk about net worth. So you look at this. Now, let me ask you this question, Louis. If someone who is like, I'm making $30,000 a year, I want to get into some real estate stuff. You're like, do you have a high income skill?
Put into it, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have high income skills? No. Do you have a scalable business? No. I want to buy some properties with no money down. Kind of risky, right? Because if you follow this, the first thing you got to focus on is increase your income, meaning develop skill sets that the marketplace would value. Do that first. Now, with a scalable business, you can start one, or you can also invest in one. It doesn't always mean you have to start one. So you can invest in one that throws off profits, and then you've got your high return investments. See, when it comes to high return investments, it's about the preservation of the capital. It's not about getting the maximum return. We don't need it to get 50%. I just want 10%. Because I'm making money with these two things.
Right.
You just
don't want that sitting in a bank and not making anything.
That's right. So now the return of capital, off investment, not just on investment, now you're making more income, you're becoming more valuable. Hopefully your income increases every year. Your profit goes up. You take the extra cash, you put in high return investments, gives you more peace of mind. Then this is same wealth triangle goes $1 million, 10 million, 100 million, is exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same.
If you're looking at a 21-year-old, 25-year-old who's about to get started in whatever, a job, an entrepreneurship endeavor, and you're looking at them and you have a 20-minute conversation with them, what would you say is the number one sign that they would be successful? What would they have to embody, talk about, not talk about, in order for you to be like, you know what, this person is in the next 2-3 years, I want to watch them because it's going to be a trajectory, or at least they're going to be growing in some way. What would be that sign that someone would be successful?
Someone who has who has the obsession to learn. Because I remember many years ago, I was attending a 2-day workshop on digital marketing, right? At the time, it's funny, don't laugh at me, but it was a workshop and the instructor was teaching how to do pop-up on a website. Like we're talking many, many years ago when it was a big thing, adding a pop-up, right? And I remember day one, he taught us, okay, if you want to get more opt-in subscribers, add a pop-up to your website, and this is how you do it. Okay, great. So it's a few hundred of us in the hotel room. So then I went back to the hotel room and I talked to my coding guy. I said, okay, let's add this piece of code. We'll capture more opt-in on the website. Great, right? And then we were getting more opt-ins, like just that evening. So day 2, the instructor comes back and say, hey, so I taught you how to add opt-in and stuff. How many players have you done it? No one. I put on my hand, I said, I thought everybody did it, but no one did. And I was like, this is kind of fascinating, right? And then I said, yeah, actually works. We added the power yesterday, we get more subscribers, it's awesome. And that's when I learned something about myself that I'm very eager to learn, I'm very eager to execute. Very eager to execute. And if I want to look at someone who's 21 years old, if they, wherever they want to be, if they have that obsession to learn and execute. The action takers are money makers, right? That I would say you could see it in his or her eyes that they are action takers, not like making excuses. I don't know, I'm not ready, timing is not right, I'm not good enough, and no, they just execute.
Yeah. I think it's not about being afraid. It's about just being willing to take action, even when you don't know what you're doing. I think a lot of people, they don't know what they're doing, and it cripples them. And they say, oh, I've got to figure out what to do first. And then when I feel comfortable, then I can go do it. But I feel like when you're talking about it, it's like, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, I just need to make some money. Let me go figure this out and embarrass myself and make mistakes and make a couple bucks.
I say that you want to act as if all your dreams have come true and then you challenge your reality to catch up. It's much more powerful when you act as you're already there. Think about this. I'm going to ask you this. When you had the idea for the podcast, not the Lewis House today. I'm talking about in the beginning, right? Not the followers like in the beginning. At the time, there's no credibility. You were just getting started. There's no name, right? It's like you try to get people on the show. Well, I don't know if I want to be, right? All that stuff. But now people are honored to be like, they would knock on your doors. Hey, Lewis, can I be on your show, right? But think about all these years. In the very beginning, at least from my observation, and correct me if this is wrong, I saw that you were already acting as, hey, you know what? I'm a brand. Right? My show is going to have tens of millions, hundreds of millions of downloads.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, I started investing in my design and my brand to be like, what is the example that I would want to look at if I would book this person, if I would go on their show, if Oprah would call me, or if Ellen would call me, what would I need to look like?
And Ellen did call you.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like,
what
would I need to look like to be a New York Times bestseller before I wrote a New York Times bestseller? Like, what would the branding need to be? What would the messaging need to be? What would the results need to be in order to get there? And I just started acting as with that vision in mind.
There you go.
And it kind of goes into this, segues into the law of attraction, which I'm curious your thoughts on the law of attraction when it comes to manifesting money, when it comes to manifesting your dreams, manifesting goals, the dream partner, whatever it may be for someone. In your opinion, how does the law of attraction work? And in what way does it work best for? Money, business, health, relationships? What do you feel?
I'm a very strong believer in law of attraction. I made a video on YouTube about this as well. But law of attraction is basically thoughts are things, right? Everything is energy. And you become what you think about. Essentially, that's what it means. But that's just one of the laws. You have law of gravity. You have laws of cause and effect. I think whatever we do, we need to learn and understand these other laws exist. Law of action. So it's not just law of attraction. It's like you're trying to do a math equation. You only know a plus. But there's minus, there's the equal sign, there's a lot of things that bracket. There are a lot of things you could use to make an equation work. But I only know a plus sign. So when it's like when you've got a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? And people just utilize that, and they don't look at everything else. So I believe in it. I believe in having the vision board, but also believe in having other things like where you think about even the law of realism. Right? Even the law of cause and effect, all these things.
What do you wish we taught everyone from the ages of 10 to 20?
Sure.
5 different things around money.
First thing would be, what is money? Because money, as we know it, is fake. Our dollars are just pieces of paper. I grew up thinking that our paper dollars are like the holy grail. You want to save this money because it is the most valuable thing there is. As I became older, I started to realize that that's not the case. Our paper dollars are just pieces of paper. It's fiat currency, which means it's issued by the government, and the value is backed through the strength of the government. Now, we're lucky here that the United States is the world's superpower. We have the world's strongest military. We have the world's strongest economy. But we can't stay on top forever. And inflation is when the value of a dollar goes down. So these dollars, which many of us think that if we hoard this, we'll become wealthy, save your money to wealth, is actually keeping you poor, and it's making you poorer each and every day. So the first thing you have to understand is, what is money? Second thing you have to understand is, what do wealthy people work for? And most of us, the majority of us, are taught to work to get a job and climb that corporate ladder, but wealthy people are doing something completely different. They're working to own the corporate ladder. They're working for something called equity. And this thing really blew my mind, because wealthy people are not working for that paycheck. They're working to own a piece of the company. That way they can get a piece of the profits. So the best way to understand this is, a lot of times people complain about how much money I'm making. I wish my boss paid me more. And this is where, if you start to understand the system, you'll start to ask the right questions. See, a big company, you have to ask the question, who are they working for? Are they working to take care of their employees? Are they working to take care of their customers? Neither. They're working to take care of one person, their shareholders. It's this concept called fiduciary duty.
Right.
I learned this in law school. The executives of a company have a fiduciary duty, not towards the employees, not towards the customers, but towards the shareholders, the owners of the company. Now, what that means, an easy example of this is, you're going out to dinner with your girlfriend or your wife, and you're on a date, and you get a text from one of your good friends, say, hey, let's go play Fortnite right now. Your fiduciary duty at the moment is to be with your girlfriend, to be with your wife, to be with your partner, to spend time with him or her. If you go out and leave, you're going to get in trouble, right?
Yeah.
So it's, who is your alliance to? And the shareholders, the executives, the CEO and the executives company, their fiduciary duty is to the shareholders, the owners of the company. So what are they trying to do? They're working to drive up the valuation of the company. So once you start to understand that, you'll realize why there's this big discrepancy between what people are paid and what people want to be paid. And when you start to understand that, you're going to change what you do with your money. That's why I said a minute ago, or a little bit ago, wealthy people are working to not climb the corporate ladder, but own the corporate ladder. So how do you get that equity, that ownership? You have to own a piece of the corporate ladder. Now, if you work for a public company, that means now you can take some of your income and you can buy stock in the company. Maybe they pay you with equity. Maybe they give you some sort of revenue share. That's what we do in my companies. Or if your company doesn't do that, then you have to start taking this money that you're earning and you have to start investing it into a place where you're getting equity. Maybe that means stocks. Maybe that means real estate. It could be, there's a number of different investments, but you have to work towards that equity.
Yeah.
The third thing is that you have to think bigger. I know I grew up thinking that somebody who looks like me, somebody who's brown, somebody who wears a turban, somebody who didn't have entrepreneur, investor parents could go out and do this. Because you think that somebody like me can't do this. My parents also told me that I couldn't do it. I didn't know anybody doing it. I didn't know any investors. But you have to be the one to take that first step. And once you start to take that first step, You're going to learn and see the second step. Then you take the second step and you're like, oh, I can start $100 investment here. You don't have to start with, hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. Start with $100. Apps on the internet make it so much more accessible.
Right.
But anything is possible. If you live in America, you speak English, you have more opportunities than really anybody else in the world. People would literally risk their lives to come to this country because there's opportunity here. And so if you're here, you have the ability to understand what you and I are saying, and you have that technology to do it, you're blessed.
Yeah.
Now, what do you do with this, right? You have to go out and start learning. You have to go out and start doing. And then the next thing that you have to do, Number four is you have to understand the concept of debt, because we live in this consumer culture. And it's interesting where, we want to live this flex lifestyle, right? I want to show off on Instagram. I want to show off my new car, my new Chanel, Gucci purse. And we kind of get caught up where I need to live a certain lifestyle that way people can think that I'm rich. But what you're doing now is you're living broke,
Right.
making everybody else rich, so people think you're rich. You're product rich, you have a lot of nice stuff, but you're broke. And so when you live that type of lifestyle, you are the reason why Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Chanel are making so much money, but it's keeping you broke. The richest person in the world, sometimes he's the second, sometimes he's the third, is the CEO of Louis Vuitton.
No way, really?
Yeah, Bernard Arnault. And why? How did he get there? Because everybody wants to look rich. Everybody wants the Louis Vuitton. I saw this in the pandemic especially. We were in a recession in 2021, but luxury sale of products were breaking new records.
Come on, really?
They're breaking records in 2021.
Why is that?
Stimulus checks went out, people had cash, and some people used that money to save, some people used that money to pay down debt, some people invested that money, but a big chunk of people took that money to places like Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and now you go and spend it.
You would think when the economy is, well, I guess when people are losing their jobs and there's financial uncertainty of the future, you'd think people would be saving or investing, not spending on luxury goods, especially if you can't even go outside to flex it. You can only do it on social media in the comfort of your home.
You don't need to go outside anymore. You can just do it on social media.
I know.
And so if you don't have the cash to do it, people are going into debt to buy it. And it's becoming easier and easier because of now things like buy now, pay later.
Right.
It is one of the fastest growing industries in fintech. I love financial technology, but it breaks my heart. I mean, it rips my heartstrings when I see the growth of this buy now, pay later, because what does that mean? I can go out and buy anything I want, not pay for it today, pay it off over 3 months, and then if I don't, I get slapped with 25% interest. And if you are 18, or let's just say 21, I give you $6,500. You never invested another penny, but you invested those $6,500 and you could get an 18% return on that money, and you retire at 65 and you look at this investment portfolio, you would have over $11 million.
Wow.
Now, everyone watching this saying, where the heck am I going to get 18% on my money?
Exactly.
But your credit card company is doing it every single day. $6,500 is what the average American household has in credit card debt right now. And you're turning around paying these companies 18, 20, 25% a year, and they're the ones that are getting rich, not you. So what's happening? You're going into debt to buy liabilities, which are things that lose your money, and then you're paying interest on top of that, which is making everybody else rich, which leaves no money in your pocket to make yourself rich. And you have to break out of that mindset.
So what do we need to know about debt then? How do people get comfortable understanding about debt, either using it in the right ways and eliminating the debts that don't support our financial growth?
Yeah, so the first thing is never finance anything that isn't gonna pay you. Okay, so
Give me an example.
Gucci, your vacations, your car, stop financing these things that aren't paying you. And people are gonna get upset when I say your car, because they're gonna say, wait, how am I supposed to buy a car without a car payment?
Don't buy a $100,000 car unless you got the money in the bank to buy it, and plus more. Buy a used car for $6,000.
Exactly. Go buy a used car, good working condition car with cash.
Ride it for 10 years.
Exactly. The first time I made $1 million in a year, my car was $500.
Dude.
My employees had better cars than I did.
I had a $4,000 car for the first 5 years living in Los Angeles. $4,000 car, used car, 1997.
I love it.
Was the car when it was made. And that thing was great. And it was comfortable, got me from A to B.
Yeah.
It didn't break down.
Exactly.
I didn't need to be flashy.
Exactly. I still have my $500 car.
That's great.
I still drive, and it's one of those things where, because I fell into this trap where the first time I started making money, in my culture, cars are a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
The Punjabi culture, people really want to put money in their cars. They want to look cool, right? So when I was 16, 17, I started making a little bit of money because I was doing my side hustles. The first thing I did was I put new rims on my car. Then I put tints on my car. Then I put HIDs on. I had two 12-inch subwoofers in my trunk, right? I put the tints on. I put a new sound system in there.
Lights around, glow in the dark. Yeah.
I had a Toyota, right? And then the next thing I was going to do is I called up my cousin. I said, guess what? I got $3,000 in the bank. I'm about to put Lamborghini doors on my Toyota.
Crazy, man.
And he's like, Justin, you're stupid. Don't do that. And so he sat on the phone with me for like 20 minutes, convincing me not to do it. Luckily, I didn't. I'm really glad I didn't. But that's where all my money was going. I looked cool. My car was cool. And that's where all my money was going. I had $1,000 in my bank and I went out and I bought a $1,000 watch. I was like 18 years old, right? Because it was like, I was in that industry, the entertainment industry. I wanted to look cool. And then, I start to read these money books and my mindset starts to shift. And now all of a sudden, it's I went from one polar extreme to the other polar extreme. I don't want to spend a penny.
On anything.
Unless
it's making me money.
Exactly. I don't want to spend anything unless it's making me money. So now I'm saving as much money as I can. I'm investing my money as much as I can. I'm trying to build my business. And I'm talking like I'm running my shoes into the ground. They have holes in them. I put a piece of tape, wrap it up. I'm going to school. I got rental properties, but I got my shoes that are taped up, right? And it's like, I realized that I'm going to go, I'm not going to make those same mistakes again. Mm-hmm. And you have to break out of that mindset. The first time I made $100,000 a year, I was in school. And I was living in an apartment paying $400 a month, including my water, my electricity, my cable, my gas, my internet, everything.
Wow.
And the reason is because I didn't have a room. I slept on the living room floor. I had a little mattress. I used to pull that into the living room, put that down, go to sleep at night, wake up, fold up the sheets, put them away, drag the mattress back into the hallway because I'm like, I realized that the power of compounding your money. Yeah. I realized the power of putting your money into the right assets. And I'm like, this is my time to build. I've been blowing this money that I've been earning on things that are making everybody else rich.
Right.
I'll spend money on that stuff a little bit later. Right now, I want to make myself rich.
Yeah.
And so, you have to just first understand what it is that's worth spending money on and what's not. And then, if you do have that debt, you got to come up with a strategy to pay it down as fast as possible. First thing you can do, if you have a lot of credit card debt, call up the companies. See if they're going to be willing to just give you a lower amount. See if they're willing to work with you. Say, look, I got $10,000 worth of debt. I'm never going to pay this off. It's not going to happen. How about you work with me and give me $5,000 and I will work to pay that off. Right? You start to work with them, see if you can do something. Then you can consider moving some of that money to a 0% APR card if you have 12 to 18 months to do that. That way now you can aggressively, you got to do the smart, because if you're just going to keep doing the same things you were before, don't do it. But you have to start aggressively paying it down. You stop spending money. That way now you can pay down this debt as fast as possible, and then you work to earn more money. And the money has to go somewhere as you're earning more money. You live the same lifestyle, if not smaller, and you take all this extra money and you use it to pay down your debt. That way now you can start building, right? You got to lay that foundation. You got to start working to grow upwards, but you have to get aggressive.
Is there ever a time where people should go into debt, the right type of debt? The credit card debt, the student loan debt, buying a car and going in debt on that, those things I'm understanding, it's not helping your financial future.
Yeah.
When is it the right time, or is there a right time in your mind to take money out and spend interest on that money?
Depends, right? If it's something that's going to make you income and you can manage the debt, then yes. But it's not for everybody.
Right.
Some people don't have it in them to manage the debt. Some people don't have it in them to manage investments. Some people don't have it in them to run a business. If you're not the entrepreneurial investor type and you don't like looking at numbers, you don't like managing money, you don't like trying to grow this, stay away from it. Now you go up, maybe you can get debt to buy a home, but that's it. But if you are more the entrepreneurial type, you have it in you that you want to grow. Now, if you're using debt, you should only be using debt to buy something that's paying you with income, something that's going to make you more money.
Do you have any debt out right now?
Right now, I do not. I have people paying me loans, but I personally don't have any debt right now. I kind of went through this phase where I have all this real estate, but I have no debt on it. And the reason is because I'm waiting for the right opportunity. I will have more debt.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the right opportunity because right now all my real estate is paid off.
You've paid off all the real estate. How many properties do you have?
Units in the dozens, a number of units, but now I'm just waiting for the right opportunity.
And it's all paid off.
All paid off.
So now there's just cash coming in.
It's cash coming in. And
do you still have that
I still got that one. That's rented for $850 a month.
That $8,000 place?
$8,000 place.
That's just bringing in $800 a month now.
$850 a month.
Clear and free.
Yeah, you got to pay your expenses, your property taxes, your insurance, your maintenance, your management fees. But right now I have no debt on it. And so now what I'm waiting for is...
And how much could you sell that for now?
Probably 100,000, 120. I mean, I don't know the exact, but something in that range.
It's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because when I buy real estate, I never look at what can I sell this property for. I'm looking for one thing, cash flow.
Cash flow, yeah.
And so this is a big mistake that leads people into a lot of problems in real estate because when you start buying real estate, hoping that you'll be able to sell it for a higher price in the future and things don't go as planned, then what?
Yeah, you're screwed.
Now you're screwed. So, for me, I look at one thing, cash flow, and will I be able to see more growth in this area? So I look where businesses are moving, where's money moving to? And then that's where I want to invest because I know if property prices go up, hey, it's icing. Property prices go down, it's okay. I still got my rent, which is covering my costs.
So what's your goal, right? With the dozens of units for the opportunity for something bigger, or what's the plan?
Something, it can be anything. Something bigger in real estate, and I'm looking for the right opportunity. But again, my focus now isn't in real estate like it was before. A few years ago, I was heavy in real estate, and I was doing everything that I can there, and a lot more opportunities were there. I bought a property in 2021, haven't bought anything in 2022 yet. But my focus now is building my business because I see a bigger opportunity there for me than real estate. That's why I've been I'm still involved in real estate, but not the way that I was a few years ago.
Because you can earn more with your business if you put the attention and the energy and the money into building the team and the resources and the technology and those things.
And it's more fun because it's a lot more active for me.
Yeah.
And then, once this gets bigger, then I'll go back to real estate. But right now, like for the last few years, I've been kind of phasing slowly away from real estate as I can transition more into the business because, it's just more fun for me.
Yeah. Okay, so understanding debt was the fourth thing. What was the fifth thing you wish people learned from 10 to 20 years old about money?
You have to be willing to make mistakes, take risks, and start. And this one is hard, and it sounds simple, but a lot of people that I know, they are so hesitant to making that first investment because what if I do something wrong? What if I make a mistake? What if my investment goes down? And so the simple thing
that's happened to me multiple times.
Yeah, but you learn every time, right? Yeah. It's your tuition. It's your real tuition. And you have to be willing to try things because if you don't, you're going to get stuck in the game of what if. What if I lose money? What if it doesn't work out? Well, what if it goes up? What if you learn? I have made a lot of mistakes. I made a video on my YouTube channel where I went through my worst real estate deal ever. It was my third property that I ever bought. It was a home in the city of Detroit. And I made every mistake possible. Now, I'm still in college, right? I don't know what's going on exactly with real estate investing. And I bought the property and I bought it because my contractor at the time told me that we can make a lot of money on this deal. We'd be able to rent it out. We could flip it if I wanted to. And he was like, don't even worry about getting a home inspection. Now, when I buy a property now, the first thing I do is I get a property inspection where somebody walks through the deal, makes sure, a third party, an independent person, and they tell me anything wrong with the property in the foundation, in the plumbing, in really anything with the property so I know what I'm getting myself into. And so he told me don't do that. He said, don't worry, I already walked through. He's a contractor, so I figured he knows what he's talking about. All you have to do is spend $5,500 and I will make sure this property is ready to go.
Wow.
So I said, okay, let's do it. So I bought the home. I gave him a check for half, or maybe $2,500 or $3,000, something around there, $3,000. And a week goes by, nothing starts. 2 weeks go by, nothing starts. And I call him, I said, hey man, what's going on? Like, I thought we were gonna have this done in 2 weeks. Here we are 2 weeks later and you haven't even brought your materials here. So I got caught up with something's going wrong. And so now 2 more weeks go by, he brought some materials there. He started painting one wall and that was it. And so, I'm getting upset because now it's like, every day that this property is now leased out it's costing money.
Yeah.
And still nothing's getting done. another 2 weeks go by, and now I'm like, okay, look, what's going on? We got to get this taken care of, because now we're 6 weeks into this deal. You haven't done a single thing. You keep putting me off. You took my money and nothing's happened. And so, long story short on that, he ran away. He was having financial difficulties. That's why he wanted me to close on this deal, because he needed some cash. And now he's gone. So now I have another property that somebody was working on, a manager, and he was having some issues at my property. He was causing some problems. So I figured, he's causing problems there. How about you come work at this property, and you need a home. You can live in this home for free.
Fix it up.
Just fix it up.
Yeah.
And so he said, okay. So now I thought, all right, I found a good deal here. I got somebody who'll fix it up. He'll live there, take care of it, and it's going to cost me less money. And so now he's living in this property, and he's like, how about this? How about you just open up a charge account at Home Depot, and I'll just go buy stuff and take care of it at the home. I said, okay. So I go open up this charge account. He starts buying materials, not to work on my home, but to work on other people's properties.
Oh my gosh.
So now I'm like, dude, like, you're spending my money to go work on other people's properties so you can make double profits over there. You haven't started any work on my home. You're not paying me rent. You have a dog that you're not taking care of who's pooping everywhere in the property,
man.
and it's not being taken care of. And so now, how do I get somebody out of this home? I got to evict him out of my own property. There's no lease in place. So now we got into all these legal issues of how do we get this person out of the home. We get him out of the home. It took me months to get him out. The property now is destroyed.
Trash. Oh man.
There's crap, literal crap all over the home. He damaged the place, did not take care of it. And now it's like, we have to start all over from negative to start fixing this property up. So now we start fixing it. I got a licensed and insured contractor. We're months into the deal. And he wants, I don't know, like a lot more money, at least 10 grand, if not more, to start doing the renovations. And we start digging deep, and we start to see problem after problem after problem. So now every cost keeps adding up. Now the home is ready to go. And I'm like, all right, fine. And everybody told me, don't license this home with the city of Detroit as a rental, because nobody does it. And this is, again, after the 2008 crash, Detroit went through its bankruptcy. They were having their own issues, but I don't like to play games. I want to play by the rules. So I said, I'm going to get I'm going to get a license for rental. When you get a license for rental, they're going to send their own property inspectors out to the property, and they're going to inspect it and make sure that it's okay. So now the property inspectors come out and they say, I need to lift up the home. I said, what do you mean lift up the home? They're like, oh yeah, we need to raise the home. I don't even know that you could do that. Apparently you can, and it's very expensive.
Wow.
So I lift up the home. And then we start running the water in the property, and it turns out that the water is not draining to the main city line. Apparently, somebody previously living in this property had poured cement down the main drain. Now, in order to get this property working, we have to bust out the cement in the basement, take out this pipe, put in a new pipe, re-pour the cement. And then these property inspectors start disagreeing with one another. One person says that you need a 10-foot electrical riser. So we make it 10 feet. The next one comes, says, why is it 10 feet? It needs to be 13 feet. I'm like, your first person said 10. And now they start fighting with each other, and we have to keep paying for these inspectors to come back. They keep charging me permit fees for everything. If I want to paint the windowsills, it's a $100 permit fee. Change the smoke detectors, $75 permit fee. So this goes on and on and on and on for months. Finally, now we're approved for rental. I was like, oh my God, like this is the biggest headache of my life. We get a tenant in the property, we get licensed, a tenant's in the property, and now we have the license, and the property inspectors just decides to go back to the property. They don't tell us. They just go back there. Even though we're fully licensed, they had no reason to go there. They knock on the door, and apparently, we didn't know this, the tenant was having a babysitting operation in a property. So now the inspector sees this, that this tenant is running an illegal babysitting operation. He tells us, he fines us, tells us we need to evict the tenant. And now we have to start this process all over again. So after that point, I was like, you know what, just sell this property.
Wow.
Because this is the biggest headache. And that was the only deal I ever lost money on. But I learned a lot. It was my tuition. So you have to be willing to learn, be willing to make mistakes, and then be willing to grow from those mistakes, go on and keep willing to go.
It's so funny because, and I wrote about this in my book, like for women, we have shame if we don't have enough money, but we also have shame if we have quote unquote too much.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's like, oh, I have more than them and let me hide it because people are going to think I'm showing off, or they have imposter syndrome, right? Am I worthy of having this much money? I've experienced that myself at different times, right? Like, you've worked hard for it, but you think that you don't deserve it for some reason. And I think that I think society was sort of designed so that we wouldn't talk about money.
Why?
Because I think it's designed so that we have a few people at the top and a lot of people at the bottom. And so now, then of course the middle class emerged, and we've gone through different things as a middle class, as a collective, right? But I think I think that's part of the reason why it's like, don't tell, employers saying, don't tell your coworkers how much you're making because I'm paying you more than I'm paying this one and I don't want y'all to know. Right. So it's like, it comes from those places, but it's reinforced everywhere,
Right. Everyone's reinforcing it.
Exactly. And I think
not just corporations or.
Yes. And because there's so much mystery, it's like, I don't know how much you make, right? You don't know, maybe you know how much I make because I talk about it all the time, but I don't, you know what I mean? So like, we don't know, and we're scared to make assumptions, and we're sort of guessing, and we're like, well, if I put mine out there, I might be embarrassed because I discovered that like I'm actually either making too much related to my peers or too little. And I think it goes back to belonging. We just want to belong to a community, to a group. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so because of that, it's like we don't want to do anything that's going to make us not belong. It's just an inherent human need to belong. And so I think that we don't talk about money because we think it's going to affect our ability to belong, whether it means we're too broke or we have too much, or somewhere in the middle.
So what conversations should we be having around money? How consistently should we be having them, and with who?
Yes. Okay. So in terms of the conversations I'm having, I'm telling people like, if I get a speaking gig, here's how much they paid me, right? And I asked for more and they gave it to me. So make sure you do that too, right? Like, or I negotiated for higher pay, or I negotiated for profit sharing, or I asked for more vacation days, right? Like, we need to share our money earning strategies with each other, especially with, women and people of color, right? Like, putting more money, like that's what allyship is, in my opinion, is putting money in the pockets of the groups who need them, right? And who, we have this huge wealth chasm in this country. So like, how can we start to change that? And so that's why I share how much I got paid for a book deal, like all these things that you're not supposed to share. I'm like, I'm gonna tell y'all. Yeah. This is how much I got, this is how I got it, And I think it's important. So I think sharing money-making strategies is very important. I also think one of the things that has been so valuable to me with some of my peers, especially, I will say, my white guy peers in particular, have showed me, like, they have taught me things about, like, investing strategies, or like, oh, here's a strategy that I'm doing with my money, or I'm investing in real estate, or I'm doing these different things. Like, what are people doing with money once you have some, right? Like, once you have a little bit more than you need to live off of, what do you do with the excess? And sharing those things, right? Sure. Sharing that information, because it's usually hidden. And it's like, there's a small group of people that know, and you don't know until you have peers who have done it, and then you find out, right? Right. In those quiet conversations that aren't on, on Facebook, right?
Sure. So, should people be talking with their friends, their family members, their spouses about money? Or
yes.
What if someone's really uncomfortable, says, you know what, I don't want to talk about the money I make and what we should be doing? What conversation can you have to try to break the wall down?
Well, I think you could say, here's why I want to talk about money. And here's why, like, we have to be, I think if we're willing to be transparent, people will be transparent with us. That's what I've found in the conversations that I've had. And that's how I've learned a lot about money, is by having conversations. Like the friend that I was spending time with last night, she's an investor and a financial advisor. And so I was asking her, like, okay, well, what are you investing in, and how are you thinking about it, and what is an investment thesis? Like, I don't even know what that means, right? Like, we were having conversations, and she was teaching me all of this stuff because I was willing to tell her, like, okay, here's how much money I want to invest, but I don't know where best to put it, that kind of thing. So I think you just got to be willing to put yourself out there first. And I find that people want to talk about it. So when I bring it up and I start sharing, they immediately start sharing, because it's like they were like waiting for an opportunity to talk about this.
Yes.
Is what I find. So I think we just got to start doing it and create more transparency around it. And then, yeah, it creates opportunity for all. And that's the other piece of it is like, I recognize that, even someone who would be considered a direct competitor, maybe they sell the same thing I sell. I don't believe in competition in that way. I think there's more than enough money to go around. I think there's more than enough opportunity to go around.
Yes.
And I choose to like be friendly with and support my competitors, quote unquote, and vice versa. And that just means that we all get better at what we're doing. We all can serve our clients better, right? We all can make more money. But I don't want to be a person who's closed. So I just got to be me, and it is what it is, right? Like there's going to be some occupational hazards when you're being transparent.
Absolutely.
And you just got to navigate that as best you can. But I just choose to be who I want to be in the world instead of who I feel like I need to protect myself,
What was harder for you, making your first $100,000 in a year or making your first $1 million in a year?
$100,000 for sure.
Why is making $100,000 harder than making $1 million in a year?
Because it's like, I think we're just figuring it out. I also think we're charging too little for our work at that point.
Is this when you're working as a career or when you had your own business or freelancing?
I never made $100,000 prior to starting my business.
Got it.
I went from college to I had a job in between college and law school, and then I went to law school. And then I started my own practice. So
you didn't work at a law firm after law school. So you started pretty much right away being an entrepreneur.
Right.
Which is really hard to do.
Yes. My last salary before I became an entrepreneur was $41,000 a year.
Gotcha.
And really good health insurance.
Yeah.
And I was thrilled.
That was in between law school or in between school and law school, is that what you said?
Yes.
Gotcha.
In between. This was after law school because this was my clerkship.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So, you kind of sign on for a year. Your paycheck is not that big, but and you're a lawyer, right?
You're learning the ropes, you're getting reps,
exactly.
You're getting experience.
And that's kind of why I decided to start my business at that time, because I'm like, I already don't have a lot, right? I already know how to live off of this amount of money. Yeah. So I'm like, if I can live off of this now, let me keep my expenses this way or lower them even more. I sold my car and we owned a house and we rented it out, moved into a smaller place.
And how many kids do you have at this time?
I had none yet.
Okay.
Oh, well, actually, that's not true. I had my stepdaughter, but she didn't live with us full time.
Okay.
And so that's what I did at that stage is I cut down my expenses as much as I could so that I could build this business.
How old were you then?
I was 27,
okay.
I want to say,
Got
2009. Or no, 2009 to 2010.
Okay, cool.
This was that year. And then I clerked for the judge and I started my practice. And I was like, I made there were months where I made $500 and months that I made $2,000. And that's why linking together, I was doing, my friend bought a salon. She was a hairstylist. She wanted to buy her first salon. I did the transaction. She was purchasing an existing business and I charged her $500 for that. I don't think I've actually ever told anybody that.
That's cheap.
Because I was ashamed. I was ashamed that I didn't know what to charge for that. Wow. And that I undervalued my services so much that I literally have never told anybody that I charged $500 for that. And she's still a good friend of mine.
Wow.
And she's
That's not her fault.
No, it's not her fault. She made bank with that salon and she's since now sold it.
But you also got experience doing that, doing that transaction, that deal, which you'd probably never done at that level.
Yes.
Seems like. So you gained confidence from that.
Yes.
So there was a win there for you as well.
There was a win. But when I saw how many hours of labor were involved.
You put weeks probably, right?
Yes, I'm negotiating with the other side, dealing with a difficult lawyer.
And $500 is a steal.
I mean, for the whole thing.
Can I hire you for that?
I should have charged $5,000 minimum,
right.
But it was but I learned from that. I add value.
Of course.
I can figure it out, and I have a skill in that. I'm trained in knowing how to figure it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that was kind of working on the job experience. You weren't fully probably experienced for that yet, it sounds like, but you learned, okay, I didn't need to do these 10 hours of calls that I did here. I could have done this in an email or whatever. I don't know how this works, but whatever it was, you learned your process to simplify it, to maximize it. So
exactly. And back to that $100,000 question, I think that's why. It's we're figuring it out. Usually we don't know exactly what we sell in those early stages of the business, so we're selling everything. Whatever people come to us with, we're like, yeah, we could do that. We just create a custom offer for that.
Whatever money we can bring in, we'll do it.
We will take it. And so you're very busy. I call this stage busy bee because you're very busy at this stage, but nothing's refined, nothing's efficient. Everything is just sort of like your massive labor towards
Yeah.
whatever you can make happen. And so that first 100 grand, I think you are hustling for that. But in order to get to 1 million, or at least to do it in a way that feels sustainable, you need systems, you need process, you need team, right? And so now you're starting to build a sustainable business. You're not just, by brute force making money.
And you need to clarify your offering and your audience and your niche and what your specialty is. You're
Exactly.
I'm not just a lawyer that can do anything you want me to do, but here's what I really specialize in.
Exactly.
And here are my 3 packages at these different levels. And
Yes.
And you go all in on marketing that.
Yes. And there's money that you're saying no to.
Absolutely.
You learn that lesson that not
Isn't
all
that
money
crazy?
is good money.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
It's so, I say this a lot to people. I go, it's weird that I'll turn down massive checks all the time.
Yep.
But I'm just like, that's not what I want to do, and it doesn't serve my mission.
Yes.
If it's not serving the mission, and I don't need the money, then I shouldn't do something just to bring in more money.
Exactly.
For me.
It's a distraction.
At different stages of my life, a different season, now I said yes to everything.
Right.
When I'm broke, you say yes to all these things.
Yes.
But then when you're like, okay, I'm here for a mission, and to serve at the highest level of my skills and abilities, that brings me the most joy and brings others the most joy and benefits the most number of people, then you start saying no to money, which is crazy.
Yes.
It sounds crazy, doesn't it?
It's delightful.
It
I
is.
love it.
No, it's great.
I feel like, to me, it lets me know that I've not made money my master.
Yes.
Right? Like, it's very important, but it is a tool.
That's good. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm not beholden to it, and I won't trade anything for it. There's plenty of things that I will not do, and I don't care how much you pay me, So I think that it's good to remember that. And so when you're turning down opportunities, it's just an example of like, okay, I'm doing things right.
Well, I think you got to understand that just because you turn down money over here doesn't mean it's not going to keep coming to you. Like, just because you turn down something that's not right for you doesn't mean abundance of something that is right will keep coming to you.
There's so much opportunity. There's always more where that came from.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. That's powerful. Okay, so the first 100,000, how long did it take you? How many years until you made 100,000 in 1 year? Can you remember? Roughly.
So my first year in business, and it was like, I started September 1st, 2010. And so from that year till like September 2011, I made like 60 grand that first year.
That's right.
But I think the first full 12-month calendar year was like year 2. So it didn't take too long.
And then how long until you made 7 figures in 1 year?
Yeah, that took me 7 years.
After that, yeah. From starting business.
From September 2010, I think it was 6. It was like 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
I think 2017 was my first 7-figure year. And I had gotten close, but not, almost
Crossing,
there, but
yeah.
not quite. And twice. And you know what? It was interesting. What happened is, like, I had my business, my revenue was doubling in the beginning. It was like I made 100 grand, then I made 2 or 250. And then, then I made 500. Then
it's like,
I plateaued.
it's like, okay, 560 and
Right.
620.
I know. It started making me mad. Like from 500 to 700,000. I think I was there for like 3 years.
Yeah.
And there was all kinds of stuff going on in my life. One, there was a lawsuit that one of my business partners. So like, this is one of the things where too trusting too quickly caused some issues. So that was a huge distraction for me at that time. I had 2 babies back to back.
Wow.
So, I was busy with them. And then there were just a lot of lessons I needed to learn. Like I had all these people working for me, but I didn't have good boundaries. And I just kind of let them do whatever they wanted and didn't have, like I was learning how to become a boss. I was learning how to become a leader and a manager.
So much more challenging than just doing your skill. Like, let me just be good at the law thing, which is what people wanted me for.
Yes.
Now they want my business for that. And me, but I've got to train the team and
to
empower.
deliver.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
It's a different skill.
It's totally different, and it can be challenging. And I think that's why a lot of times we're like, well, I'm just going to go back to doing it myself. And it's like, you can, but it's going to keep you small.
Yeah.
You have to say yes to those challenges and learn that new skill, right? And I think leadership skills are so valuable and for everybody. So, I had to learn that, and it took me a couple of years to like figure out how to have stronger boundaries, figure out how to stop letting people waste my time, figure out how to charge for what my services are worth, right? All of those things, those were lessons that I was learning in that time.
Who was wasting your time? Like clients or
Everybody.
employees or
Clients were wasting my time. Team were wasting my time. Even family members, right? Like I my desk was like right in the front door. So like, it's like the door is here. My desk is right here. My husband would like be coming in and out. He's a stay-at-home dad at the time, taking care of the kids. And he just ran a tight ship with our household. It was amazing. Like I had so much support in that way. But he would like, every time he came through the door, wanted to talk to me, interrupt
I gotta
me.
focus.
Yes, exactly. It was like, I didn't know how to create boundaries around my work time. And I did eventually learn it. I started getting up at 4 a.m. because I was like, I'd get up at 6 and these kids would, it's like they could tell, like they had a radar the moment I woke up. So then I would get up at 6, like I would be like, okay, I'm going to beat them. I'm going to get up at 5:30. Nope. Still get up with me. 5. Nope. 4:30. Nope. 4 a.m. And they stayed in their beds.
Wow.
So I was like, fine, I'm getting up at 4 a.m. every day then. So that's what I did for a while, just to find that quiet time so I could focus.
The first question someone's going to always ask is, why should I listen to you? Or why should I follow you specifically? Right? And unless you have a solid answer that's not you being crazy, right? Being like, I have done these things. They give me evidence that I can move the goalpost further than what we have done before because of what I have done before.